Your home router connects devices such as your phone, laptop, and smart TV through Wi-Fi or Ethernet. Together, those devices form a local area network, or LAN. A LAN usually covers a limited area, such as a home, office, or school. When data needs to travel between networks in different locations, it may cross a wide area network, or WAN. A WAN connects separate networks across a city, a country, or even opposite ends of the world. It can link branch offices to a headquarters, connect employees to cloud services, or carry traffic across the public internet. In this video, we will explore why WANs were developed, how they move data across long distances, and how they support much of the connected world around us. In the early days of computing, computers were often isolated from one another. A business, university, or government agency might have computers in one building, but sharing information with a system in another city was difficult. Organizations could send records by mail or use telephone-based systems to access distant computers, but these methods were often slow or expensive. We needed a better way for different computers to communicate across long distances. During the 1960s, researchers began developing packet switching. Instead of reserving an entire communication line for one continuous connection, packet switching divided information into smaller pieces called packets. Those packets could share network links with other traffic before being reassembled at their destination. One of the most important early packet switching projects was ARPANET. Funded by the US government, ARPANET began connecting computers at universities and research institutions in 1969. It helped demonstrate how computers in distant locations could exchange information over a shared network. As businesses expanded during the following decades, they also needed reliable ways to connect offices in different cities. Telecommunications providers offered leased lines, which gave organizations dedicated connections between locations. A bank, for example, could use a leased line to connect a branch office to a central data center. These connections offered predictable performance, but they were often expensive and difficult to expand. Adding another location could require ordering a new circuit and waiting for the provider to install it. Over time, providers introduced shared WAN services such as frame relay, and later, multi-protocol label switching, or MPLS. These technologies allowed businesses to connect multiple locations through a provider's network without requiring a separate physical line between every office. As public internet access became faster and more widely available, organizations gained another option. They could create encrypted virtual private networks, or VPNs, which were tunnels across regular internet connections. Today, WANs may use dedicated circuits, broadband internet, fiber, cellular service, satellite links, or a combination of several connection types. The technology has changed, but the goal remains the same: connecting separate networks over long distances. To understand how a WAN works, imagine opening a website from a laptop in your office. Your laptop first sends the request through the local network. It may travel over Wi-Fi to an access point, or through an Ethernet cable to a switch. From there, the request reaches a router or firewall at the edge of the network. Before the data travels, it is divided into smaller units called packets. Each packet contains part of the original information, along with addressing details that help the network equipment move it towards the correct destination. If your laptop uses a private address and is connecting to the public internet, the edge router or firewall may use Network Address Translation, or NAT. NAT represents the private address with a public address that can be used across the internet. NAT is common in homes and offices, but it is not required for every WAN. A private business WAN may carry private addresses between locations without translating them into public addresses. Once the packets leave the building, they enter infrastructure operated by an internet service provider or another telecommunications provider. The provider moves the packets through a series of routers towards their destination. Each router examines the packet's destination address and checks a routing table. That table helps the router decide which connection should move the packet closer to its destination. Most long-distance WAN traffic travels through fiber optic cables. These cables may run under streets, alongside highways, between cities, or even across the ocean floor. Fiber carries data as pulses of light through thin strands of glass. These signals can move enormous amounts of data across countries in milliseconds. International connections take longer because these signals must travel farther and pass through more network equipment. Copper cables, Fixed wireless systems, cellular towers, and satellite links can also carry WAN traffic. These options are especially useful in locations where installing fiber is difficult or too expensive. A WAN is a collection of interconnected provider networks, routers, transmission lines, and exchange points. Routing protocols help these networks share information about which destinations they can reach. On the public internet, a protocol called Border Gateway Protocol, or BGP, helps large networks exchange routing information with one another. If a connection fails, the surrounding networks may advertise a different available path. Traffic can then move through other routers and network links. The recovery may happen quickly, but it's not always instant. The amount of disruption depends on the type of failure, the routing technology, and how the network was designed. When the packets reach the destination network, local routers deliver them to the correct server. The server processes the request and sends its response back through the network, often using a similar path. The internet is the largest and most familiar example of interconnected WAN infrastructure. But the terms internet and WAN do not exactly mean the same thing. The internet is a global system made from thousands of independent networks that exchange traffic with one another. When you visit a public website, your data may cross several provider networks before reaching the server. A private WAN is designed for a specific organization. It might connect offices, data centers, warehouses, or cloud environments without making those internal resources available to the general public. Some private WANs use dedicated carrier services, such as MPLS. Others use VPN tunnels to protect traffic as it travels over shared internet connections. A VPN creates an encrypted tunnel between devices or networks. The encryption helps prevent outsiders from reading the data while it crosses a shared network. Many organizations use a combination of private circuits and public internet connections. This gives them more option for cost, performance, and backup connectivity. The primary advantage of a WAN is reach. A LAN connects devices within one location, while a WAN allows separate locations to exchange data and access shared services. A retail chain, for example, can connect stores in dozens of cities to centralized inventory, payment, and communication systems. Employees at a branch office can access applications hosted at the headquarters or in the cloud. WAN connectivity can also reduce the amount of equipment required at each location. Instead of operating a separate server for every branch, an organization may place important applications in a central data center or cloud platform. Administrators can then manage security policies, backups, and software distribution from a central system. This does not remove the need for equipment at each branch, but it can make the overall environment easier to maintain. WANs also support remote work. An employee can use a secure VPN or cloud-based service to access company resources from home, a hotel, or another office. That reach comes with trade-offs. WAN connections usually have more delay than local connections because the data must travel farther and pass through more equipment. Organizations must also plan for limited bandwidth, provider outages, security risks, and service costs. A well-designed WAN balances performance and reliability against the price of each connection. Modern organizations often depend on several types of WAN connections at the same time. A branch office might have a primary fiber connection, a secondary broadband line, and a cellular connection for emergencies. Managing those connections by hand can become complicated. Software-defined wide area networking, or SD-WAN, helps simplify that process. SD-WAN uses software and centralized policies to control how traffic moves across available connections. It can identify important applications and choose a path based on performance, availability, or business rules. A video conference, for example, may need a connection with low delay and minimal packet loss. A large software download may be able to use a slower or less expensive connection. SD-WAN can monitor the available links and move traffic when one begins to fail. With the right configuration, a branch may switch from fiber to broadband or 5G with little disruption to active applications. Now, the transition is not guaranteed to be completely invisible, and the results depend on the network design, the application, and how quickly the backup connection becomes available. SD-WAN does not replace the physical WAN connections, it manages how the organization uses those connections. Local area networks connect devices within a home, office, school, or campus. Wide area networks extend that connectivity between distant locations, cloud services, and other networks. Every time a company links its branch offices, an employee connects to a cloud application, or a device reaches a server across the internet, WAN infrastructure helps carry the data to its destination. Without WANs, each local network would remain an isolated island. With them, networks across the world can communicate as part of one connected system. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.